When did the moment come then where it went from that life, the vision of that life, to I want to pursue music actively?
Yeah, well, I always think I wanted to pursue music
Okay.
actively in some way, because I was playing in bands and stuff
Right.
before that. And I think you naturally just have to, if you're not making money from it, you have to get a job, and
Okay.
which is what I did. So I was doing the two at the same time. But then I think when I started writing my own songs and I'd done a few shows, it started to get so busy that I had to make a choice whether I sort of leave my day job and carry on. And so it just happened very naturally.
Was there maybe one song or one moment that kind of turned things around for you?
Yeah, well, there was a song called Always that I wrote, which is on an EP that I've just released. It's a very raw demo version of it, like a live take. But that was one of the first few songs that I actually demoed in my room at home. And like that got like a few Radio 1 plays and stuff in the UK, and it's quite strange because that even though there's a lot of radio stations there, like that is the kind of the one where people seem to like pay real attention to that. So once that happened, Phil Taggart played the song a couple of times, and it got me a bit of attention from various different people, and then I started doing more and more gigs, and I started touring and stuff, and it was like, hey, whoa, hang on a sec, what the hell's going on? You know, like a year ago I hadn't even sort of started singing, and it was like suddenly I was doing shows in front of. Well, I did a show supporting Rufus Wainwright on my third show, and there was like 2,000 people there or something crazy. And I remember just like halfway through my set, just thinking like looking down at my hand, and it was like that, sort of shaking. But it was, yeah, it was weird.
Has the confidence in your voice gotten better than over the last 2 years?
Yeah, it has, like naturally, but like because I think the more you do something, the more comfortable you get. But I still get nervous and very anxious about it. I'm always worried that there's something wrong, you know. If I woke up today, I woke up in the morning and I was like, oh no, I'm going to cough or whatever. But I don't know. Like once you're up on stage, it kind of levels itself out.
Okay, and well, if we go back then quickly to when it was just you and the guitar. What was it like then to go on stage? Were you nervous at all then?
What when I was playing guitar in a band?
When it was just guitar without singing.
The excitement was definitely there. I think excitement and nerves are very similar feelings. But there was a lot less pressure on that, because it was kind of like, it was almost like you're just going to have a good time with your friends when you're in a band. But I think when you start singing, it's more of a personal thing. Like if your guitar goes out of tune, you can just tune it. But like your voice, got to really look after it. So there's a lot more pressure on just sort of staying well behaved and things like that. So
and then
I wasn't as nervous when I was playing guitar.
Okay.
No.
And then is it also difficult then, because you say singing makes you a little bit more vulnerable on stage, but then having these personal lyrics, what does that do to you to have them
Yeah,
be public in a way?
Yeah, well, I think that's part of it as well, because part of the sort of nerves fall within that, because you're sort of singing these things and kind of thinking, oh, is this a little bit too much? But it's just part of what I do. So I just have to try and every day and every tour and every show, I just have to sort of try and just like calm. My mum does like crystal healing and things like Reiki and things like that. So she's always telling me to breathe and carry some stones with me. I've got this. This is a stone called kyanite, which is supposed to like level out your throat chakra or something like that.
But does it help?
I think a lot of what singers do is in the mindset. So yeah, I think it probably does in some way, as maybe a placebo sort of thing.
Right. But. Well, am I right in saying that your latest single, "Close Your Eyes," is about this struggle to sing?
Yeah, that's how the song started out. Yeah, it was kind of like it is about that, and it's more also then talking about like how important it is to be there for somebody and to to help people through. Like, I'm lucky because I had very supportive friends and family, and like my manager's great. And when it came to doing my first show, it was almost like I just needed those people with me, and I'm also now very conscious of being there for other people. So like my girlfriend and my family and my friends, I always make sure that if they're, well, I try to make sure that if I feel like they need help or just a reassuring word, I think it's really important to actually tell people if you think they're like, you know, great or whatever.
There's one line I wrote down from the song. It's I look back on the times you tried to hide inside your delicate mind.
Yeah.
Is that about yourself or about
yeah, that is
else?
quite introverted. Yeah, that's more about like. It's like like when I said about when I used to just sort of hide away. Did that a lot, and it was and my friends are always telling me that I still try and hide behind something like.
What sort of things?
Even like saying photographs, okay. or like photographs or something like that. If there's a line of photographs for a single campaign or whatever, and they're like, which one do you prefer? I'll always prefer the one where I'm like that or something. You know, it's.
But is it again then a confidence thing, or just not wanting the attention, or do you know where it comes from?
I think it's just a confidence thing. I don't really know where it comes from, but it's. I think everyone has those sort of feelings, but I think it just depends on what level of intensity you actually project those feelings.
Do you need it to write songs?
I think at the moment, yeah. At the moment, I do. I think the songs that I've written for my first album are very much about all of those things, okay. and experiences that have been a product of that. But who knows what the next album will be like? So it might be more about sort of finding the confidence.
Right. Is the full album finished?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And well, I haven't seen the track listing, so I don't know what
it's not been announced yet. But I think like because I've recorded quite a lot of tunes, and I think we're actually tomorrow I'm flying straight to the studio, and we're gonna go through and see, because I want it to be an album, like an old-fashioned album where there's a journey through it, and you're not just listening to a bunch of songs. It's more about a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it's sort of more of a journey.
What did you base your selection on then to have that cohesiveness?
I based my selection purely on the quality of the actual songs, because I think, and there were songs but I think the songs that are my favourites are the ones that I've spent the most time on. So naturally, I think they're the ones that I've recorded. There was about 30 songs, and I whittled it down. But we recorded 20. Some of them have since been used for EPs and things like that. So it's about 17, 18 tracks, and I think there's going to be 12 on the album. So it's not going to be too hard. There's already some that I think like, nah, don't want that one on there.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure how much you can talk about it then, because it's not released, but you mentioned having a couple of favorites. Can you tell me something about what your favorite song is?
I've written a song called You and I, which is going to be on the album, which is quite personal. It's about it was about sort of thinking on, like, I've always had this sort of obsession with like love and relationships, and sort of why we choose the people that we do, and why sometimes those relationships fall apart, and why they and how come sometimes you have a friend who's like your best friend, and you might not see him for 2 years, right. And then you see them again, and it's like you just haven't been apart. And I wrote that song. It was kind of it came about when a friend of mine sort of was having a bit of a breakdown, and it was like he'd moved away and just got a bit lost in what he wanted to do, and he just like broke down, and it was weird. I was like, oh man, what do I do? Like, how can I help? And then it just got me thinking about everything else and everybody else, and like my mum and dad split up when I was quite young, and I just thought, there are still times when I see my mum and dad talking, and I think like, you both have this connection, right. And it was always there, and probably always will be there. I don't know when the spark dies or whatever, but it's like there's always something, and I just thought it's about like always somebody always knowing that you're there for them. Like no matter what happens, I'm always there for you, sort of thing.
These very tough, or almost fundamental questions about love, and have you gotten closer then to an understanding through this reflection and writing these songs?
Definitely have. I think there's always going to be an element of like sort of questioning and doubt, but I definitely have and got more of an understanding on it. And I think just from conquering fears and things like that over the last year and a half, it's been quite enlightening on certain aspects of life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Finally then, do you have an album title yet?
Yeah, Wishes.
Okay.
And
thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.